Great, perfect. I can see that's in the corner now. So yeah, hi everybody. Obviously this is the second of the hustings. Yesterday we had our VP Community and Welfare, and today is the VP Sports and Activities. So we've got Ollie here and we've got Ethan here representing James. So as I said at the start, Karim has pressed record, so we're recording this session just to make sure that the students that can't attend here this evening can still get a chance to see the debate and still have a chance to be involved. It's also really good for you to actually use in your campaigning and in your link it up to your social medias and things. So Steve will send it out to you probably tomorrow, so you can be using it for your campaigns and things. So we'll just go around and introduce. I'll introduce myself, and my team will introduce themselves. I'm sure you know who we are by now, but we will just do it anyway for the record. So obviously, I'm Harry Pierce, and I'm the president for this academic year, and I'm also chair of the Students' Union Trustee Board. Karim.
My name is Karim Dar. I'm the Union Development Manager and Staff Lead for FSU.
Great. And Steve.
Hi, I'm Steve, the Activity Engagement Coordinator and Deputy Returning Officer for these elections.
Great, thank you. So in terms of the format then, so first of all, you're going to get 2 minutes now to pitch to everybody why you believe you should be voted in as Vice Presidents of Sports and Activities. We've then got, Steve will also let you know when you've got sort of the remaining 30 seconds. So he'll just chip in and let you know that you've got 30 seconds to sort of draw what you're saying to an end. So we've got a 2 minute time frame there. And then after that, we've got a couple of questions that have been submitted. So you'll take it in turns to answer those questions. We'll be going in alphabetical order. So obviously that will mean Ethan, you're going first representing James, and then Ollie will be coming over to you to answer the questions as well. But before we get on to those questions, I'll summarise it again for you. And if you do want me to sort of repeat anything that I'm saying, or you want me to clarify anything, just jump in and let me know, and I'll stop and clarify things for you. So yeah, we're going to move on then to the 2 minute pitches as to why you believe you should be voted in to become our next Vice President of Sports and Activities. So Ethan, if I can hand over to you first to speak on behalf of James Ball, that would be great.
Yeah, that's absolutely no problem. Start now.
Yes, ready when you are.
Yeah, fantastic. So obviously I'm Ethan. I'm not James. James can be here tonight. I'm representing him currently. We are part of a slate. We are the Hope for the Future party. And we believe we should be our next president and vice president because we think we can bring change and good change after the year we've had as well. We think it's time just for change in general. People haven't been able to get onto campus very often. We haven't been able to engage in the sports and activities we normally would. Some of the societies have taken a hit. We know the sports teams have taken a hit as well. However, in the coming year, as things return back to normal, now that we have the roadmap as well, for the next year when we start again in September, we should be able to make things better again for everybody. We've had a bad experience this year. We know you all have. So we just want to make it up to you, if you like. We want to see what we can do to make things better for you in the future for everybody. We want to make sure that everybody's included in the future as well. You know, this is the next step that we can take. I feel like it was the end of a chapter when COVID started, and we can start a new chapter now. We can move on into the future, being more inclusive, being happier, having more fun together in a safe and fun environment.
Thank you, Ethan. Thanks for that. Ollie then, so I'm going to hand over to you now. So if you can share with us.
I'll just start my stopwatch. Sorry.
You believe you should be voted in as the Sports and Activities, Vice President of Sports and Activities. I'm going to say Steve's job then.
Thank you, Harry. So yeah, this year I've tried to keep everyone as active, social and supported as possible. Obviously, as has been previously mentioned, it's not been the easiest of years, but I think this has done nothing except grow my passion and enthusiasm to bring sport and activities back better and bigger than ever. So I'm going to go through 5 things that I really plan on doing and how I plan on doing those so that everyone knows it's achievable and it's possible. My first one, which is my main focus, is the safe return of all extracurricular activities. Now, this is a wide spectrum from using musical and theatre spaces, using the gymnasium, using the outdoor training areas, and also getting societies to have in-person meetups again. These are part of a paramount of university life. They've benefited me in so many ways. So the sooner we can get this back and in a safe, controlled way, the better. My second, quite passionate campaign for the year is to increase sport and activity engagement. Obviously, we've had quite a severe dip this year. Through no one's fault, it's just been hard to regulate any sport when we've all been in a national lockdown. So my plans to get this better would be to throw a huge Freshers' Fair. I want a Freshers' Festival, not just 1 or 2 days. I want a week, and we'll make it big, and we'll make up for the losses that we've had this year. I want this to include all societies, all sports teams, all local companies and other activity places, so everyone can really know what's going on in and around campus, and everyone can get a feel for what they might want to do for the next 2-3 years. As I've said, extracurricular activities crucial for everyone. My third one is to create a structured weekly social space in town. This was one of my plans last year, but obviously it had to get put on hold. So hopefully we'll be able to secure a location in town where all SU sports clubs, societies will be able to meet up weekly. It will have cheap drinks. It'll be a lot less security than the on-site Eat at Hope facilities, which, as 3 years on a rugby team, I can tell you, you're not allowed to do much after a game. So this will be a bit more relaxed. It can be our location. It can be weekly themed, and hopefully it'll bring everyone together across all campuses. Cheers, Steve. So quickly, my fourth one is mental health first aid training. I tried to do this year in my role, but I want to get this in person, especially as 27% of students I've reported mental health issues whilst at university. I think this is crucial, and it needs to be in person so every committee feels supported. My fifth one is to extend the community engagement hub that I've already worked on this year, so that hopefully we can have a research tab so students can put their dissertation surveys in, gain research participants, and also look for local community jobs. Go on, Steve, thank you. I have more, but it's on my Instagram.
Thanks, Ollie, thank you. So yeah, you've both now sort of pitched to the cohort why you believe you should be voted in as the next Vice President of Sports and Activities. So we're sort of going to move on now to the second half of this debate, which is the questions. So you were lucky enough this year to receive the questions beforehand. We weren't last year, but there we go, we moved. So you've had a chance to sort of see them before, so you're not coming into this blind. And so what we'll do is I'll read the questions out, and then we'll go in alphabetical order again. But when we get sort of halfway through the questions, I'll switch it, and then Ollie, you can go first, and Ethan, you can go first, just to spice things up a little bit. So then the first question then is as follows. So how will you use previous team/society experience to enhance student experiences? So if I come to Ethan first on behalf of James.
Yeah, of course. I've got his notes in front of me, so if I am looking over to the right a little bit, it's only because I'm kind of reading off of his notes and taking from what I need as well. So we believe that using the knowledge of our previous experiences moving forward, especially after the aftermath of COVID-19, is going to be vital to successfully returning to the active and flourishing well and community of all the sports teams and societies at Hope. We've had a lot of time over lockdown and throughout COVID to learn and to think about how we can return safely and to doing the things that we love. We also want to ensure that in this new normal that we might face, that it does not diminish the experience of those at our university, but instead it helps them to return to the way they were, and maybe it'll even help them to become better. We'd also like to introduce some more unconventional things to the sports and activities communities, especially in our societies and our sports teams. We'd like to introduce some more unconventional sports, maybe some new things that maybe people haven't thought of before, or maybe that people haven't had a chance to get involved in, just to widen that spectrum of what the students have access to at our university as well. We also want a big focus on inclusivity and equality in the sports and activities community as well. We want to make sure that our feminist, LGBTQ, our transgender, non-binary, and all of the communities are involved as much as they can be, that they feel comfortable and that they feel like they are being treated equally in any way we can. We also want a big focus on what you guys want as well. We want to hear what you guys want to do. It's all well and good us deciding what happens in your future and with your uni, But we can't do that unless we know what you guys want.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks for that. Ollie, would you like me to repeat the question, or do you just want to?
Yeah, go on, mate. Why not?
Yeah. So the question is as follows: How will you use previous team/society experiences to enhance student experience?
Thank you. So I was extremely blessed whilst a student. I've spent 4 years within quite a successful rugby team. One of my most proudest things isn't our achievements, isn't our winning games. It's none of that. It's the fact that we made it an inclusive area for all. I've had some really, really amazing times with these lads, both in and out of the sport. So I really want to just use my own personal experience to show and encourage everyone the massive gains that you can get in your life from partaking in extracurricular activities. One of the things I was very aware of was the difficulties around the relationship with the SU between sport teams and societies. It's quite hard to get things put into place. It's sometimes quite hard to get a response. And that's why this year I've tried to change that completely. I tried to make myself fully available for any communication. I like to think that I've opened up a full support network for all teams and societies. They get regular updates, snippets of information. They can always see what I'm up to. I've had messages on Sunday nights at midnight, and I'll always try to get back to everyone. I think that's what we need. We need students to feel supported, because it's a big thing running a sport team and a society. If you don't get the fundamental training and you just get thrown straight into it, you're suddenly looking after the health and well-being of God knows how many people. So we need to be able to get the training in place, and that includes part of the mental health first aid training. So I had to deal with some really challenging experiences and conversations whilst I was part of that team. And I'm not gonna lie, if we had some training or some sort of backbone, they would have been a lot easier, which is why I'm so passionate to give it out this year, because I know it'll make such a huge difference. Also, the inclusivity. We know that sports and certain sports aren't half as inclusive as they should be. I'd really like to trial a new system of taster sessions. So this could be just a mix of social and recreational sport and activities, so that you don't have the pressure on, oh my God, it's first team training tonight. I don't want to do that. Well, you don't need to do first team training. You can do social sport at a relaxed leisure, relaxed pace, and then build it up from there. You build up your own confidence and see if you want to partake in more competitive fixtures. So yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Ollie. Thanks for that. So then the next question is as follows. So what are your plans to make sports and activities inclusive to transgender, non-binary and gender fluid students? So ready whenever you are, Ethan.
Not a problem. Well, wow, this is a big one. This is a huge one, especially for some people, especially because it's 2021, which is also unbelievable. But unfortunately, even though in this day and age we have come a long way, there is still a massive stigma around a lot of this. And that is, to me personally, and to the other member of my party, that is still very shocking to us. One of the main things on our manifesto is the fact that we want to expand our facilities, and we want we want a huge focus on mental health, equality and inclusivity at Hope as well. Even though we are inclusive at the moment, and we do have a lot of things going on in terms of equality, we want to work on removing that stigma and helping people feel more comfortable, not only with themselves, but with the rest of the student body as well. As your leaders, as your future potential leaders, we think, as stated in our manifesto, that Hope should be an inclusive, safe and fun place for everyone. That is why we would like to present not one, not two, but 3 potential options and routes that we could take in the future. So with a focus on the inclusion and the comfort of all people, I'd like to present you with option 1. Now, we think it'd be a fun idea. I mean, Ollie said something there about taster sessions. I think that's a fantastic idea. I've got something similar here, just on, we think it'd be a fun idea if we introduced a non-competitive mixed team into all of our sports and activities. Not a place that's focused on competing, even though I know Hope is focused on fun and obviously enjoying the sport, but a place that just gives all students, no matter where they're from, how they feel, who they are, what they identify as, can just engage with the growing range of sports and activities at Hope, and then also get a chance to interact with students in a friendly, non-competitive environment, And I do say non-competitive, obviously that just makes it feel a little bit more friendly, a little bit more easygoing, and obviously with less rules and boundaries, just to help people feel a lot more comfortable. Our second option, which personally, I'm not a massive fan of this option. Some other people might be. From what I've heard, other people aren't a fan of this option either. If students would like a more inclusive environment for competitive sporting activities, we could potentially take the route of the professional competitive world, which obviously has seen some controversy in recent years. However, it is getting better. This would mean that all students could participate in competitive sporting activities, competing on behalf. Sorry, what was that?
30 seconds.
Competing on behalf of the gender they were assigned at birth. Mitigating circumstances will be assessed on a personal basis to make students feel as comfortable as possible. It's currently what the professionals do and what they do at the Olympics. However, it does have its drawbacks in comfort. Our third option is we want you guys to decide. Me and James aren't part of the trans community or the LGBTQ community or the non-binary community. So we don't know what that's like. We would like you guys to tell us what you'd like to do in your sports and societies and activities.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks for that. Ollie, over to you. Let me know if you want me to repeat the question or if you just want to go straight into it.
No, go on, mate. I'll go straight into it. Thank you, though. So yeah, I just want all students to know that throughout this year, we've tried to make everyone feel as comfortable and as welcome as possible. I've worked and I've been really lucky to work closely with Sally and the LGBT Society. And we've had to reform this because there was no active society as we started this year. So one of our big tasks was to get this done, as there's such a high number of students that are looking to meet others in similar interests. So the second part of this is that sport should be and always will be, in my eyes, open to everyone. Now, as much as I can say that, I know in reality that it is not the case. Sport is governed by regulatory bodies such as football by the FA, rugby by the RFU, and something that I had to research into earlier this year was transgender statuses of playing these sports. And the reason that I really want to build the social sport option is because there's a lot of rules and regulations that are quite hard to get your head around, to be honest, with these regulatory bodies. There's a lot of, for instance, I had a case with a rugby player wanting to play from a different gender they were assigned at birth, and they would have to do hormone testing to prove this, to prove this legitimately being the case. But in my opinion, they should be able to play whatever they feel most comfortable in. They shouldn't have to provide hormonal testing. Like, who wants to go for testing just to kick a ball about? I think that's crazy. So more pressure needs to be put on the governing bodies. So that deals with structured sport. Now, the other side of that is to introduce more social, recreational sport, so there isn't that pressure for you to have to confine to these rules and regulations that, in my opinion, are still a bit backdated. So yeah, as I previously mentioned earlier, I was lucky enough to run the rugby team, and we had a couple of LGBT students involved, and this really opened my eyes to a lot of the issues and norms they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And I think you just got to open it out to other unis. We're blessed at Hope Park Sports because we have mixed changing rooms, we have gender neutral changing spaces. You can get either male or female, you have your own personal space, you can lock yourself away and you can be comfortable in your own skin in peace. Now, this should be the norm across every university. I've had to go to Carlisle, Cumbria, etc., everywhere. And I can tell you just get thrown in like a little shed and you're just expected to get changed in front of absolutely everyone. Now, I don't conform to any of those other groups, but I also don't feel comfortable 100% of the time, and I haven't in the past. So if I don't, then I don't even want to know what they must feel like. So it's awful. It needs to be changed. So there needs to be a widespread government action on this across all universities, because I think it's unfair for our uni to conform and do some gender neutral work to then go away from home with other teams and for it to be completely eradicated and straight back to, the 1970s. So yeah, a lot needs to be done. It needs to be done with lobbying, government pressure to change every university sport facility across the country. And then internally, I think we just need to focus more on our own social sport inclusivity. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Ollie. Thanks for that. So then we're moving on to the third question now, which is as follows. So what are the steps you will take to ensure sport returns, considering both the safety of students? Let me start again there. What are the steps you will take to ensure sport returns, considering both the safety of students and the engagement with our sport teams and or gym? So we are starting with Ethan first. So Ethan, if you could answer that question.
Yeah, absolutely no problem. Again, I think this is going to be a big one for the sports and activities community. Me and James have been talking about this one a lot. Obviously, it's very difficult at the moment with the amount things have been changing, not only from the perspective of the student body and the university, but with how things have been changing externally with the government as well. Now, and I know a lot of people, especially in the past year or so, might have lost a little bit of passion and maybe might have lost a little bit of interest. We've all been stuck at home for a year, but we don't want that to happen. If anything, we want you to be more passionate than ever. We want you to be more excited than ever. And we want you to be safer than ever, obviously. It's going to be difficult when we go back. And that is just that's just a fact. However, we want to make it as easy and again as fun and accessible for all of you as possible. We want to start by getting all of our facilities open again to the student body as quickly and as safely as we can. A lot of places outside of the uni are also looking at doing that now, especially gyms, implementing things like one-way systems, regular sanitizations, and also the spacing of things like machines and people and players, especially in practice environments. We do also understand that in some sports, it is very hard to social distance. Hopefully that won't be around for much longer. As you can imagine, playing rugby and trying to social distance probably isn't very fun. However, we want to try and put things in place to make everybody as happy and make sure that everybody stays as healthy as possible. This will include things like safety training for sports teams, so that sports teams know how to properly maintain all of their equipment. If they don't already, they might do. Making sure that everybody who's using the gym, I know when you first sign up to the gym, you have to have kind of like a bit of a training session. I mean, look at me, I don't go to a gym, do I? It's not like I properly know. But I know you have to have induction sessions. We would like to look at introducing things like that to make sure that the gym environment and all of the sports facilities environments are as safe as possible, and the people using them can be as safe as possible as well, while still enjoying their workout or their run or playing whatever sport or doing what activity that they would like to do as well.
Great, thanks Ethan, thanks for that. So Ollie, over to you then to answer question 3.
Thank you. I'll firstly start with there's a couple of parts of this question, so I'm going to try and break it down. The first one is the ensuring the safest return of sport teams. So this will be done by return to play documents. This is something I've worked on already with Hope Park Sports. They've not been at work for a long time, but we're getting all the fundamental things into place, ready for a full return when possible. And obviously that day is on the horizon. So a return to play document isn't too much detail. It's a short document that each sport team will have to provide, giving us the outlines of how their governing body will allow them to play safely under COVID rules and regulations. A lot of teams have already submitted these, which has been great. I've been going back, working through them, drafting them, editing them, making them applicable to the Hope Park setting. And once Hope Park Sports return, these will be submitted straight away. And then it's on them to allow the return as soon as possible. So we're alleviating the pressure onto the university to get us back training. I've been trying to pester them all year for it. It's been hard work at times, but I'm sure we're slowly getting there. So this is the same for societies as well, and the use of gym facilities and all of the gym spaces, studios, dance studios, music spaces. These will require some risk assessments and forms of notification to show that the students are willing to comply to COVID rules and regs. These are all in place. We're lucky to have these ready to go. They just need adaptations when ready. So this will only be the case when returning in September. These will just get reprocessed, adapted to the current rules and regulations if there's social distancing, if there isn't. All I've had to do this year is change plans and projects. So I'm very, very used to having to do that if the future requires it. But I'm very happy to say that the future is looking very much brighter. And the second part of that was based around engagement, that question. And I've touched on it previously before, but I think a huge part of engagement will be the Freshers Festival to start with. We've had 2 virtual Freshers, and I've been lucky enough to run them and get involved with them. And obviously it's enjoyable, but it's not the same. And I'll always put my hands up to that. I know it isn't the same. I want DJs. I want all the societies. I want all the sport teams. I want tons of freebies. Like, students have missed out on a year of amazing social normal university life. And there's no reason why we can't still play catch up. I want to utilize all my links with local teams. Thanks, Steve. with local teams and clubs and companies to get them involved in this freshers, to get everyone knowing that whether they play midweek, weekends, whatever their options are, they can still have an option of being active and keeping fit and seeing others that have like-minded interests as themselves. And if we keep doing the freshers, and if we keep sessions, trial sessions, taster sessions, engagement will stay high throughout the year. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Ollie. Thank you. So we're now then moving on to question 4, which was submitted, and that is as follows. So what do you expect the biggest barriers will be in your position next year, and how will you overcome them? So this is one I'm intrigued to hear your response to here, actually. So Ethan, if we can go with you first, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Obviously, our biggest barrier next year is going to be getting back to what we had, or maybe even getting back to better than what we had in the past. Now, me and James are only a first year, and in high school and in college, me and James will be what you would call probably a nerd or a geek. I'm going to say that on behalf of James. I'm pretty sure he's comfortable with that. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't know anything about sports and activities and getting involved. But we do know that this year, our first year in university, has been terrible in terms of getting engaged. And we know that for all you first years out there now as well, who are probably on our courses or on other courses, you probably haven't had a fantastic time either. Now, that's not to say that the university's bad. They're doing a bad job. You know, COVID hasn't been friendly to any of us. It hasn't been great. It means that a lot of us haven't seen each other for a year. So when we return, it's going to be a little bit strange, probably for the first couple of weeks or so. And we want to make sure that that doesn't carry on. We want to make sure that everybody isn't awkward around everybody. We want to make sure that everybody isn't shying away from their sports and activities and the things they used to love doing. We also want to make sure that maybe the first years next year and the first years that we currently have now as well are both going to have a fantastic experience. And that is why not only would I love to extend freshers and make it more of an event, I'd also like to open freshers to what will be our second years next year as well, which is my year. We didn't get a freshers, and I mean, we'd like one. We want to make freshers bigger and better than ever. We want to make sure that we can get every society involved there. We want to make sure that any new societies that might have formed over the past year, we want to get them involved as well. We want to make sure that we get all of the sports teams there, maybe some new ones and arise, because we want to introduce some more unconventional sports as well. Me and myself, I run an airsoft team with James. That'd be interesting to get going. Certainly unconventional. It's certainly different as well. It's something that everybody can get involved in. We definitely want to make it as fun as possible, but we will also have to remain safe. We just want to give everybody hope, give everybody a little bit of hope for the future.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks for that response. So, Ollie, over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you. So, yeah, after the trials and tribulations that this year's thrown at me in this role, there's two massive concerns I have for next year. When I saw this question, there was two things that really jumped out. The first one has already been touched on by Ethan. I'll go into a bit more depth on it. Making students feel safe and comfortable in exercise and activity sessions. Obviously, this fluctuates from normal training to being in the gym to just meeting up in society settings. Like, we've all been isolated for so long, it'd be stupid to expect students to come back and be wanting to throw their arms around each other. I don't think I want to do that. So I fully feel for everyone there. I want to continue adapting a hybrid approach. Now, by hybrid approach, I mean it's a mix of online and in-person activities. So for those that still, come September, there might be a few of us that still don't feel comfortable returning to campus, but that doesn't mean that you should still miss out or you should be inactive as a result of it. We should still be providing online provisions for sport and exercise, for your social activities, so people don't have to miss out on the things that will make their life fundamentally better. One of the things I really enjoyed doing this year was the Meet the Club and Society sessions, although virtual. I think on the second time around this in January, we had over 100 or 200 signups, and it was online. So the potential is massive for Hope, and we can continue growing. So I'd like to do these in person. We'll keep them continual over the first term. Freshers has always been open for absolutely everyone. I think I went every single year when I was a student. I just like the freebies, to be honest. So we'll keep that going because it's always good for everyone. And we'll use the club and society sessions to keep that engagement over the first term. So that's stress number one. Stress number two is the situation with books. Books have not been existent this year. They cancelled all leagues, they cancelled all fixtures, and it's made life difficult. They've also been quite poor at keeping us in the loop with what's going on, to be honest. And there's a lot of word on the grapevine about their own future. Now that leaves me worried because everyone in the country uses books to organise their sport. If books was to end, this would be huge for everyone. But I'd like to be very confident in the fact that I could implement a league and local structure, and we have the fundamentals there to let that fall into place. I've got good connections with all the local SU sport officers, all the way to Manchester, Blackburn. It goes on. We've had a lot of time to chat and catch up and complain this year. So as that is a potential option, and it's a concern because the future of books is in doubt. And if it is in doubt, we need something to replace it ASAP. And I'd like to think that I've got a good enough support system to be able to get that into place if required. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to trial some local games next term. And then obviously if Bucks isn't around, we can just continue that next year. But that's worst case situation. Hopefully Bucks will still be here. So yeah, they're my two concerns.
Great, thank you, Ollie. Thanks for that. So for the next half of the questions then, Ollie, we're going to ask you to go first, followed by Ethan, just to, as I say, spice it up and make sure that it's fair. So then the next question is as follows, and Ollie, I'll be coming to you first to answer this. So which group of students do you feel are currently underrepresented within the Students' Union, and how do you plan to get them more involved?
So I'm quite bad for the double headers. I've actually put this into two groups as well because both of them came to my mind instantaneously. So first I went for postgraduate students. I am a postgraduate student. I was one of only two postgrads that out of 40 plus people in my team. So I'm more than I'm aware of how underrepresented they are by our teams and societies. I think it's difficult because there is usually an age gap, and obviously everyone has different sort of social intentions. Some people might have other priorities. That means they don't want a Wednesday night drink, that they just want to play and get off. And some teams might not like that idea. So I want to make all teams aware of the inclusivity and the role that they have to include everyone of all courses across all campuses. Like people might have childcare. They should not be pressured into late night drinking sessions or late night training sessions. Teams should understand that people have external circumstances that may take them away from their sports and activities. So one of the ways I think this can be dealt with is that we could allow for postgrad only sessions and conversation groups. This would be started by potential Hope Park sports sessions where we just make it exclusive for postgrads so that they may meet other postgrads with similar intentions and actually get more social interactions. And I know this might sound like I'm excluding regular students, but I like to think in my own mind there's ample opportunities for regular students to meet people with like-minded mindsets because they live in halls on the whole, and they will have the opportunity next year to meet teams and societies, whereas postgrads on the whole often dip in and out of campus for a couple of hours. Their courses spread across the week. So we need to get something to fill that bubble. And secondly, I think the LGBT and trans representation within uni sports worryingly low. As I previously mentioned, there was only we have one LGBT member on our team, and luckily I've had a chance to meet the LGBT society and their committee this year, and they're great and they have so many good ideas, and I'd love to continue working with them in the future to see how we can tackle this problem within university sport. It's more of a systemic issue because it's not just our university. I know this is the case across other SUs around the country. So there's obviously work that needs to be done. We're very blessed that our Hope Park sports settings does have gender neutral toilets and changing rooms. So they have played a contributing part already, but we still need to remove any unnecessary gender division, and we need to ensure confidentiality with all our sport teams. Everyone should be made to feel comfortable and not judged. So yeah, that's how I plan on getting those two groups involved.
Great, thank you, Ollie. Thanks for that response. So Ethan, over to you then, please. Would you like me to repeat the question, or you all
No,
right?
it's absolutely not a problem. I'm fine to just go straight into it.
Great.
Personally, I could talk all day about inclusivity and getting people involved who aren't already involved. I've been involved in numerous things in the past myself. In college, I was the head for 2 years of the LGBTQ plus society, and I ran that until it killed me. We made some great strides in that, and I want to bring a lot of the things I did there into our university now. Obviously, in sports at the moment, there is still, with a lot of sports, that stigma is still there around the LGBTQ, trans, non-binary, and gender fluid community. We want to remove that completely. That's one of the main parts of our manifesto. We want to get rid of this stigma. one of our other main points is communication as well. We want to open a dialogue with everybody we can. Anybody who can get involved, we want them involved. It is your student union, it's our student union, it is your university as well. One of the main underrepresented communities that I would definitely say in Hope is the community with disabilities. Now, there's also a big stigma around that word as well. I know a lot of people don't like to use it, but disabilities matter no matter whether they are big, small, and no matter how much they affect your life. Some present differently, and some also present differently in members of different races, different communities, and different genders as well. One of the big focuses I want to take is especially in things like the autistic and dyslexic communities. I would like to get representatives of both of these people because for both of these communities, because these are the communities in my experience that I have seen struggle a lot, especially with people with ASD. And I know she won't mind me saying, but my girlfriend actually has ASD herself, and she's been dealing with that all of her life. And I have a lot of experience dealing with that myself. Something else I would also like to mention is I know personally from speaking with students over there, the creative campus feels like they are very under-involved. I'd like to get them involved a little bit more. They are still part of our community. They are still part of Hope. I'd also like to get them involved a little bit more. I know they're quite a distance away. They're a little bit of a walk or a drive, but they still deserve to be involved. They still deserve to make decisions, and anything we do still affects them. It's why I'd also like to get course representatives more involved in everything that we do. I'd like better training for them, and I'd also like them to know what their roles are a little bit more as well, especially for...
30 seconds, Ethan.
Thank you. Especially for everybody on the university, especially over at the creative campus, so that everybody can feed back on every course and in every community.
Thank you, Ethan. Thanks for that response. So we are now moving on to question number 6. And question number 6 is asking, how will you make the full return to campus as smooth as possible for all students across all levels of study? Another one that I'm quite interested in hearing your responses to. So Ollie, if we can start with you, please.
Thank you. So this is something that I'm obviously already working on because we have the imminent arrival of all practical students from next week. So I'm already trying to make this transition as smooth as possible. One of the ways I'm doing this is without the sport and activities this year, I basically tried to run the SU social media. I think this is the best way to keep everyone informed, in the loop, and to make them feel like they know what's going on. Everyone's always scrolling all day, every day. So the best way to target everyone recently is to spam them with information on our media. I will keep this up throughout the next few months so that everyone feels comfortable and settled with the ever-changing rules and regulations. We've got a roadmap for the next few weeks, but that means that things are going to change every few weeks, and these may be adapted. The government could change it at any minute. So I think communication is paramount. We need to keep everyone in the loop so that they know and they feel safe and comfortable in their surroundings. I also would like to acknowledge that this isn't the return of all students. There's still a lot of students that will not be returning regardless of whether they're on a practical course or not. They may not feel comfortable yet, which is why I want to commit massively to including these taster and trial sessions for September and October next year when everyone is ready to face this, when the whole campus is back. I don't want to commit to doing anything too early, too soon, because we'll probably be discriminating the others that are yet to safely return or feel uncomfortable returning yet. So I think we need to keep those plans in our agenda for the future and keep the short-term plans into just focusing on those that are present on campus. And the way I want to keep those people entertained and safe is through the use of outdoor sessions and sport. I'm a massive advocate for activity to boost all mental health and all issues. So I want to keep going the outdoor sessions that we had with Hope Park Sports previously. These were running through October. They were great to be involved in. Everyone can get involved. It's light workouts. Some of it was pretty brutal, I'm not gonna lie. But this is just ways that people can slowly start adapting and learning to the rules and regulations of being on campus, where there's socially distancing. You'll learn how to go and use our facilities in a controlled manner, how to safely, where to wear masks and when to wear masks. You just have to keep everyone in the loop in a non-email format. So I've noticed that email spamming isn't the way forward for a lot of students. So yeah, constant reassurance on media. My direct messages have always been open all year. So anyone that requires any assistance, they should know that I'm there for them. But yeah, hopefully we'll work through this transition period and see light on the other side of the tunnel.
Thanks, all. Thanks for that. So Ethan, over to you.
Thank you. Obviously, I know Ollie's got a massive advantage here. He's been in the SU for a year now, and he's also done a master's in sports as well. Now, I'd like to disagree with him and just say everything can go back to normal. Everything's fine. But unfortunately, that isn't going to be the case. Things are going to be different, but I want to make them good different. In terms of students returning safely and smoothly to campus, we'd like to get feedback from students as well. Again, we want to know what you guys think. Obviously, it's going to be difficult at first, and even though I haven't had the same experience that Ollie has had, I am a course rep for my course. I've been working very closely with computer science and robotics, which is my course. And I have also had to have a few very difficult conversations with people this year on whether or not they actually want to return to the university at all, never mind next year. And I've been encouraging people to stick with it and stay strong and be happy, because things will get better soon. And we are all about having hope for the future. We want to make sure everybody is as comfortable as possible and as safe as possible. If a student isn't comfortable returning to campus, then we want to make sure that they are taken care of. This is a case-by-case situation. I personally have got people on my course who are currently stuck in Poland, Italy, Sweden. They physically can't get back to the country, and they might not be able to for a while. In terms of practical subjects, some people will not be comfortable or will not be able to make it onto campus to get access to things like labs and equipment. I want to make sure that there are systems in place so that students can still get involved with anything practical that they'd like to get involved in, any societies they'd like to get involved in, any sports they'd like to get involved in, even if that is start at home behind a screen. We'd also like to try and cover all channels of communication. If me and James do become your leaders, we'd like to do some kind of weekly update if we can. We'd like to not only send out regular updates through emails, and we'd also like to keep our Instagram up to date, and we'd also like to be more active personally in person around the Hope campus, both Hope Park and the Creative campus as well. And we'd also like to start releasing videos on a weekly basis, if possible, to keep everybody up to date and maybe see what you guys think. Maybe we can get the views of you, the students, out there to all of the students, and maybe we can get people thinking. Maybe we can give people the opportunity to make a change and help us make a change, and make sure that everybody can return back to Hope Park and our Creative campus as safely, as smoothly, and as quickly as possible, so that we can get back to normal and carry on being students and living the life.
Thanks, Ethan. Thank you for that. So then we're on to the final two questions. So the next one then, we'd like to know, if you were elected, what would be your first campaign that you decided to do, and why would you decide to do that first? So Ollie, if I can come to you first.
Thank you. So when in this position last year, doing this exact same speech, I had 6 main campaign points. I'm really, really proud to say that even though this year has been absolutely mental, I've actually managed to achieve 4 of those, which is part of the reason that my campaign points are very realistic and achievable. I've provided a new university sports kit supplier. There's a new community engagement hub. I've provided mental health training, which it wasn't in person, so that isn't ticked off, but that's partially done, but not to the extent I wanted it. And I've also signed an events deal for the SU moving forward. So regardless of whether I'm here next year or not, that'll be something that all students will be able to benefit from. So now I'll answer the question. If elected, my first focus and campaign would be around the safe return of all our extracurricular activities. This is my most and biggest passion. I've spent the whole year upset about it because we've had so many fluctuations when it looks like happening, and then the government have taken it all away from us. I obviously understand why, but it doesn't make the pain any easier. We've nearly missed out on a year of socializing, running around, drinking, having a laugh. Just all the normal things that make university life fun. All we've had is our academia. So let's make up with it with first a huge freshers fair and keep that energy going throughout the whole term. I want us to use all of the energy we have for regular events, regular activities, regular meetups, But like I said, this needs to be a hybrid approach because I want everyone included as possible. If those aren't comfortable to do it in person, they should still be included in a virtual setting until they are ready. I really, really want to implement the idea I had last year of huge Hope SU events in a town large event centre. I won't give any names. So everyone can maximise their social interactions that they've missed out on. This can be Hope exclusive events. You could have a massive bingo, you can have big quizzes, you can have German market, beer markets. There's loads to look forward to, and it means that all we'll have is constant social interaction with each other. So it's quite a remote campus. There isn't tons of people at Hope, like compared to the others around us. So you have the opportunity to mix and mingle with so many people and see those faces on a regular basis. So the opportunity of a large events in town for Hope would combine all campuses. That's Hope Park, Creative, those at Egberton Halls. So everyone can get involved, whether you're off-site, on-site. So yeah, the future's looking really promising. There's loads of steps to get involved with before we get there. But I really hope that you put your trust in me to get Campus Live bigger and better than ever. Thank you, Harry.
Thanks, Ollie. Thanks for that response. So Ethan, over to you if you could answer that question for me.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Now, freshers is a big part of university for everybody, not just first years, but second years all the way through to master's students. And it's even a big thing for staff as well. It's a big change. Loads of new people coming in, loads of fresh faces, loads of old ones returning as well. And it is a time for enthusiasm. It is a time for festivities, and it is a time to have some fun and get enthusiastic about the year ahead of you. Now, my question is, we haven't had that this year. So next year, why does that enthusiasm and that fun only have to last for a week? If me and James become your president and vice president, we plan on carrying through that enthusiasm, that activity, that community, that big sense of fun and getting involved throughout the year. That is regardless of COVID-19 regulations. If COVID comes back, which I hope it doesn't, we will find a way to make sure that all of you guys can have fun. We want to make sure that you can all get involved, no matter where you are in the world, in the country, where you are on campus, who you are, where you come from. We want to organise bigger and better events, the likes of which you will have never have seen at Hope before. And we want more community spaces. We want more events, not just inside of the uni, but outside of the uni. We want Liverpool to see us for who we are, the fun-loving, intelligent, enthusiastic people. I'd also like to get us involved, not just with Hope, because Hope is, it's not a small uni, but we're not a big uni either. If we are getting involved in community spaces, if we are organising events outside of our university, what's to say that we can't talk to the student union of the other universities in Liverpool? There's quite a few of us. We've got the Uni of Liverpool, we've got John Moores, and we've got Edge Hill are quite close as well. We could get in contact with those, and we could not only organise an event that's big for Hope, but we could organise an event that's big for Liverpool. We could get everybody involved from all universities and give you a chance to have the time of your life and meet people you never thought you would meet before. We'd also like to do this, obviously, as safely as possible. If we can't organise events in person, we will make things happen online. And I'm not just on about pub quizzes on a Friday night. We will have game nights. We will make sure that we get live streams up. We will have big community gatherings, and we want to get people enthusiastic about them. We don't want to organise something and 10 of you turn up.
Ethan.
Even though that's fantastic that some of you are turning up and we are making a difference to your day, we want to get everybody involved. We want to get you all excited and enthusiastic about not just about the year to come, but about every year after that as well. We want to start something that'll carry on for generations.
I'm on mute. Thank you, Ethan. Thanks for responding to that question. So this then draws us to the final question. And just to let you both know, we've tweaked it a little bit. So we were originally going to ask you, how do you plan to ensure sports and activities have a smooth return to being able to run again? We just feel that was quite similar to one of the previous questions. So we'd like you to still respond to that question, but in regards to how do you plan to ensure societies and activities? So take the sports part out. So how do you plan to ensure that the return of sports the return of activities and societies has a smooth return. So Ollie, if we start with you first, please.
Thanks, Harry. I think the main focus on this would be that all centres for social activities, quite often in the classrooms on site, they use on-site buildings and facilities. So really, this is university governed and controlled. Once we've provided risk assessments and adequate cover, we just need the society to be aware of the risks and mitigating these risks. This will probably include employing a COVID officer, which will do track and trace, if that's still a thing. Further down the line in the near future, it most definitely will be. And then for other social activities, such as the cheerleaders using the gym, musical theatre, getting the theatre space back, they've not had it all year. These things will come, it just requires university approval, but obviously we at the SU have to prove that they are safe and ready to return. And this will just be done with COVID officers across all societies and committees. As soon as we have a governed officer, they can take the lead responsibility for making sure that everyone's safety is at the front of everyone's mind and that everyone can return in a smooth transitional way. They've already had the opportunity for funding. If they need any funding, the university already has all the hand sanitizer you can get scattered around campuses. So they're a bit more blessed than the sport teams because they're not outdoors using their own facilities. So they'll have the opportunities, they'll have the support. All committee members know that they're fully supported by me, and I've tried to do my best this year with them. If they need the help to get their society up and running again, we've had to deal with it a lot this year because quite a few went dormant on us. So it's very manageable, and we'll get the engagement and the activities going better than ever. It's just a case of when best and when safe, and that will only be governed by ourselves and the university. And luckily, we have a very good relationship with them. So as soon as we get green lights, we're good to go, and everyone can come back and do all their normal extracurricular activities, and that'll make everyone's life 10 times better, I'm sure. So I'm very much looking forward to that day. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Ollie. Thanks for that response. So Ethan, over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. Obviously, the biggest part of our campaign slogan, what we named our party after, if you will, hope for the future. Again, we want to make the future of Hope University, all of its sports, activities and societies bigger and better than they ever were before. Especially after the year we've just had, we don't just want to return back to normal, we want a better normal. We want a better return. And we not only want to do that in the most fun, exciting and enthusiastic way possible, we also want to do that in the safest way possible, especially because we know that a lot of people will be feeling uncomfortable and maybe anxious to return, especially to social spaces with a lot of people. We also want to make sure that all of those societies, communities, and groups that have gone dormant, we want to make sure that they come back, and again, they are bigger and better than ever. We want to provide as much support as we can for these groups and societies, as personally, we think that they're going to have more interest shown in them than ever after a year of everybody being stuck in their houses. We want to get people away from screens and back to talking to actual people again. We want to get people socializing, and we want to make sure that it's done safely. We want to make sure that every society, every group, every team, if they need a space, then we're going to make sure that they get that space. We'll also be introducing things like, we'll also probably be introducing something like a rota system to make sure that if societies do need a safe space to come and to hang out, to chat and to do their thing, that they will be provided with a safe space, and that doesn't clash with any other societies. We want to make sure, again, one of our big focuses is on communication. So we want to make sure that that's out there for everybody. Everybody can see what's going on. Everybody knows where every group is. Everybody knows where every society is. Everybody knows what they aim to do and what they want to bring to the table. And we also want to make sure that in the future, we want to make sure that there's a good and flourishing environment for new societies to form as well, especially if some have gone dormant. Maybe unfortunately, they might not be able to come back, but hopefully new ones can flourish in their place. But we also want to make sure, obviously, in terms of safety, the uni can provide hand sanitizer, they can provide certain types of cleaning equipment, but we also want to provide union members specifically for not just COVID, but more union members to take care of the societies themselves, to make sure that they are being safe, to make sure that we are doing as much as we physically can to make sure that those societies, groups and sports teams are bigger and better than ever.
Great, Ethan. Thanks for that. So that draws us then to the end of the questions that have been submitted. So I know that we've got a couple of students in attendance now. So I'll just now open the floor up and give you the chance to ask any of the candidates any questions that you may have. You may have already submitted questions, but this is now your chance to ask any questions if you do feel that you've got any. Stephanie,
Yeah, hi.
do you want to ask a question?
I do have a quick question. And it's just more about your personal working styles. And I just want to know, what is your relationship with the president and the other VP, and what do you think makes a good relationship for work?
So go first.
Yeah, Ollie Smith, if you go first, yes, please.
Hi, Steph. I hope you're all right, by the way. So I've been really blessed in my life that I've just worked within so many different varieties of teams, with such a different scale of people around me. So you just have to adapt to the scenario that you're in. I like to think I have an amazing relationship with the team around me. I like to think anyway. I've not pulled any faces, at least. So I think that's the same with everyone in life. You just got to give everyone a fair chance, because you're never going to get the best out of someone unless you come at them with an open mind and the willingness to help them with whatever they might need. Like, I've had to do things that my role title would never have even covered this year, but I've done it because I'm passionate to help other people. Like, I get a thrill out of it. If I know someone's been active and I've benefited their day and they feel a bit more positive, then I feel better for it. I don't know what it is. It's a weird feeling, but I kind of thrive off it in a weird way. So if my team are around me and we're all thriving together, I think it creates a really, really good workplace and a really strong environment for really positive work. So I like to think that I'm just quite fair and liberal person to work with, and that's the relationships I try and thrive off. So yeah, I'm not much of an arguer, to be honest, but I will also probably put my foot down if I think something's deserved and fair. But yeah, thanks for your question. It's a very different one from the rest. I like it though.
Yes, Stephanie, that is a good question. That's a good question to bring up, actually. Ethan, would you like to provide a response to Stephanie's question?
Yeah, of course. Hello again, Stephanie. I hope everything went fantastic for you yesterday as well. There's a reason me and James wanted to run together. The first thing I will address is before a couple of weeks ago, I had no prior experience and no prior relationships with anybody in the student union. It's always something I've seen and always something I've been interested in, but just something I never thought I could get involved in. The reason me and James are running together is because we've been working together for over 8 years now. And through thick and through thin, we've always been fantastic teammates, not only friends. He is like a brother to me at times. This makes us very good communicators, not only with each other, but with the people around us as well. We're very interested in always being involved with people. We always want to hear what people have got to say, and we always want to make everybody as happy as they possibly can be. In the past, all through school, all through college, and hopefully through university, we've helped to run societies, clubs, and groups. Through high school, we were the front for fundraising in our high school. We did numerous fundraisers and events for charity. We also ran several extracurricular clubs throughout our time at the school. And James also helped me to lead the LGBTQ+ society in my college as well. Outside of that, we're also involved in a lot of other teams. We've actually started our own airsoft team. If you don't know what that is, that requires a lot of teamwork as well. But we're also interested in helping people. Like I said, we've done a lot of charity work in the past as well. One of our big things on our manifesto is communication. We're not confrontational people. We don't want to argue. We don't want to be headstrong. We want to go in, we want to have a cup of tea, and we just want to have a chat with everybody. We don't want anybody to argue. We don't want anybody to shout. We definitely don't want people going on strikes. We just want a nice, chill union where we can all sit, communicate, have a chat, have a laugh, and just get along.
Great, Ethan, thank you. I keep wanting to call you James, but I suppose I'll be halfway there if I do call you James anyway. I'm not for the end of the world. Okay, so I've just seen in the chat function a question from Marcus. Thank you, Marcus. So this is as follows. So what is your best personal quality that will help you the most as VP for sports and activities? So Ethan, if we ask you first to provide a response to that, and then it's fair. Yeah, just take a minute. You're fine. So whenever you're ready.
You did that on purpose, Harry. That caught me off guard.
Feel free to answer the question. It's in the chat.
Oh, sorry. Go on, Harry.
I was just going to say, if you want to have a read of the question, it has put it in the chat function.
No, it's absolutely not a problem. I haven't got a big long conceited explanation for this one. Qualities of a great leader. There is 3 in my opinion. My first one is communication. Me and James have always been great communicators, not just between ourselves, but with everybody around us. James can come off as quiet sometimes, and I'm very loud, and we complement each other very well. James is both a very good listener and a very good giver of advice. I'm a very good listener, but I'm also very good at talking for hours on end if that's what you need. Something else that makes a good leader, understanding and compassion. Everybody is different, especially in this day and age. You have to learn to understand everybody. It isn't just my opinion that matters. It isn't just James's opinion that matters. In essence, our opinion in a way doesn't matter. The opinion that matters is your opinion. Everybody at Hope, their opinion matters. We're not only a democracy, we're not only a community, but at Hope, we are a family. We are a group of people coming together every day to learn, to study, to have fun, to talk, and to communicate. We're all different in our own way, and we've all got something different we can bring to the table. Being different isn't bad. I remember a time when being different was bad, but I'm happy to say now that I think we're at a place where being different can be celebrated, no matter who you are and where you're from. And the third most important thing, probably the most important thing to me, something I've taken with me all through my life, is probably the ability of me and James to express empathy to those around us. Not just sympathy, but empathy. Not the ability to just imagine being in someone else's shoes, but to put ourselves in that person's shoes. To know what everybody's thinking. To be able to talk to someone and understand how they are feeling just from a quick conversation. I think that is one of the most important things any leader can possess. Not just to understand themselves and to understand those around them, but to be able to understand how those people think and feel.
Great, Ethan. Thank you. So, Ollie, over to you if you could provide a response to that question.
Thank you. I'm just going to throw out, I think, passion, just pure passion. Like, I'm so driven to just help others in whatever way possible. I think I've had some mad requests this year, from where can I get my car MOT to where do I buy the best toothbrush? And like, I'll always go out my way to research it and look for it because I care too much to not do it. I think one of the things that comes with passion is also high motivation. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I like to think I motivate a lot of others around me. I do a lot of work outside of the role that involves getting people active and making them feel better about themselves in whatever way that may be. Some people call me a positive Polly, and it probably annoys them, but I think it's the best way to be in life because there's no dark days if you just try and make them as happy as possible. But the ways I've achieved that, I think, has been through structure. So I'd like to say I'm quite a structured personality. Every day I'll have task lists. I'll know what I'm up to. And I think that leads to control. And if you have control in your life, you can help others and control their problems. So I think it all adds up into a big circle of just positive traits. I love speaking. As you probably tell, I love listening. That's something I've probably developed more on this year, is being that comforting ear for people to just rant to when they need it, even if it's got nothing to do with anything that you might be able to help with. Just listen and understand, and you might even just be able to cheer them up by just saying a crappy joke, and I've got a lot of them as well. So yeah, hopefully there's a lot of positive personality traits, and people have been able to see that this year that I've tried to be as hardworking as possible, and no day has been rested without trying to help someone. So yeah, motivation and positivity, and I think they're two things that will stead everyone in a good place for life. So I'll try and carry them through to the grave, but we'll see what happens. I might get moody in my old age. So yeah, nice one, Harry and Marcus, for the question.
Great, guys. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Stephanie and Marcus, for those questions. Some really good questions there. So all that is, has anybody else got any questions before I move on? I was going to say to the next item agenda then, gosh, just graved in my head. Anyway, so yeah, thank you all.